All right. Well, I guess. Are you ready to get started?
I am ready to get started.
Okay.
Cranked
Let me,
and reviewed.
let me fuel up with my Metallica coffee
I,
appropriately.
I've recently dug out the box set and I've been going through the DVDs of the Black Album stuff again.
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
I remember like the day I got the box set, I immediately the first thing I did with it was watch the year and a half outtakes,
Oh
and
yeah,
then
me too.
I just never got around to any of the rest of them. So and now I've took it upon myself. There's so much stuff that I've bought that I've not actually watched or listened to, and I'm slowly working up like a stack of things in the corner here that I'm just gonna sit myself down and say, "You paid for this shit,"
Yeah. Well, that's a
you
good
know?
problem to have, though. Plus, those Metallica box sets, there's so much to dig into.
Yeah.
Unlike these fucking Alice in Chains box sets, but we'll talk about that some other time. But anyway, so yeah, that was a box set for an album that was 32 years ago that
Mm.
it came out, and so we're now in 2023, and Metallica's still fucking putting out albums, and that's why we're here, cranked and reviewed. If you see above us, that's what it says, cranked and reviewed. And if you're listening as a podcast, hello, this is another one of those things where we're going to review an album, which we won't do very often because I feel like it has to be something that's very special to this show.
Has to be an event. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like with Jason Bieler. He was on the show, so it was kind of special to the show. This is our favorite band of all time, so it's probably pretty rare we'll do these things, but who knows? We're open to all kinds of things with the cranked and ranked overarching umbrella. But yeah, today we are going to be doing a really long discussion. Well, I mean, I say that I don't know how long it's going to be yet, but I'm assuming longer than pretty much any review that you have read or watched of the new Metallica album, 72 Seasons. And yeah, so this is both our favorite band. We're both big Metallica fans. So if
Yep.
you stumbled upon this video and you're like, oh man, I want another video where they talk about how much it sucks, you're not really going to get
Eh.
that here. Um,
Got the show.
but we are very critical of even the things we love. So
Hmm.
we'll dive into all of that. We're going to do a track by track. We're going to go off on tangents. I'm sure everyone's going to have a beautiful time. And thank you for joining us. So yeah, this album came out Friday, April
Yep.
14th, 2023. Did I say 2003 earlier? I do that all the time where all of a sudden I've lost 20 years of my life. I don't know what happened.
Shit, I'm 5.
I would have been in my 20s, and I hated my 20s. That was the fucking worst. Anyway, so all right, 72 seasons. I've got the vinyl right here. One of them I bought two. You see, I can have all four of their faces behind me because I have two copies of the album on vinyl. I got the yellow splatter, which was like the limited edition one, and then I got the smoky clear, both from the Metallica store.
I got the smoky. I'm still waiting on mine. Mine has yet to arrive, but when it does, oh boy.
Yeah, and I also ordered the yellow cassette, which was is
Nice.
being shipped separately because they released it a little bit later. But
I
I
need
don't
to
know. But
get mine.
not
That's
to
like
not to spoil it for you, but sorry, podcast listeners. But look,
yeah, cool.
nobody shows the 72 part on the inside when they're showing it on a lot of their posts. They're just like showing the faces of the dudes in the cover. But I'm like, I love the fact that the packaging. Before we even get into the music, the packaging of this is fucking great.
Yeah.
And so I'm a fan already just of the presentation of this particular album.
Hmm.
And but musically speaking, we can get onto that. So this is my t-shirt for the worldwide premiere that I went to in the movie theater on Thursday night. And it was interesting because there weren't that many people there. There was probably maybe 3 dozen, maybe, but it was a theater that held a lot more, and so it seemed very strange.
Hmm.
But it was. I actually kind of really liked that because it was at one of those movie theaters where you can order a beer and and food. I didn't order any food, but I just had a beer and I sat back and watched the presentation. Which did you go to that, or did you hear about it?
I was I was thinking about it, and I didn't get around to it, and I wish I had.
I'm such a huge nerd for this band. I'll do anything I can possibly get around to doing. I'm gonna do.
First thing I did when I woke up the day of release, though, was sit down and dressing gown, not ready for the day whatsoever. I just came in here and I sat down the moment I woke up, made myself a coffee, got myself a bowl of cereal, and I just sat there like I was about to watch like Saturday morning cartoons, but listen to the new Metallica album.
For some reason, that just gave me an idea for videos where like you can do reaction videos to new music, but you are always eating cereal during
Yes, absolutely. It's like
do
almost
that.
like an ASMR thing.
Yeah. And in fact,
Like
you don't even the thing is you don't even play the actual song for the audience to hear. You're hearing it, but they're not hearing it. They're just hearing you eat cereal.
that's incredible.
Anyway,
All
so
the
the thing
cereal reviews or
yeah,
something like that.
yeah. So
Yeah.
the thing in the theater was, it was mostly just the music videos that were already out. I think 2 or 3 new ones, and then the rest were like visualizer kind of things. Like they've started releasing videos that are these animated ones that they didn't show in the theater. But in between each song, the band members did a little interview thing where they talked a little bit about each song. It ended up being about like a 2 hour, something like that, maybe hour and a half, hour 45 little thing, and it was great. Honestly, for really big albums, like that's fun. That's a fun experience to just be
Mm.
able to sit there, and the sound was loud and sounded really good, and I had a nice time. I would do it again if in 6 years when they put out another album. But yeah, but I did the very same thing. Like I heard it that night, but then the next day, I have to take my daughter to school early in the morning, and I told her, I go, hey, it's Metallica Day, so we are listening to this as soon as we get in the car. And then I listened to it. I've now listened to it all the way through 5 times, but other songs I've listened to multiple times, random songs from the
Yeah.
album.
I've done kind of I've done about 3 full listens, but I've done a few sessions where I've been like, okay, I'm gonna skip the singles. I just want to get acquainted with the deep cuts, sort
Yeah.
of like run throughs, where
Uh-huh.
it's like I've heard Lux Eterna shitloads. I've heard
Yeah.
Screaming Suicide shitloads. I've heard, the other two quite a few times at this point. So when the album dropped, I gave myself the obvious right the way through, but ever since then I've been listening to the deep cuts a lot more.
Yeah. Well, talking about the singles they released is actually pretty interesting in the build up to my review of the album, because when Lux Eterna came out, there were all these people that took that song and a couple of the things James said, and they were like, "Oh, it's going to be an all new album." And I go, oh, if they do that, I don't think I'm going to be very interested in it. And then they released Screaming Suicide, which put that rumor to bed.
Yeah.
And I didn't. That was my least favorite of the singles. Then with if Darkness Had a Son, I was like, all right, well, okay, this is none of this is. It's good. I like that song a lot, but I'm like, doesn't really give me a good indication of like what the album actually is going to be. And then right before it came out, they released the 72 Seasons song, which I'm like, all right, I'm a little more interested.
Yeah.
But even then, like with those 4 songs, I sitting in that movie theater, I'm like, this could go either way. Like this could be an album that because I like Hardwired to Self Destruct, but to me it's not their best, and it's low down on the list for me. But I do like it, and I like some of the songs a lot. So I thought, okay, well, this is probably going to be like that, where there's going to be some songs I love, some songs that I'm like, I probably won't go back to that one very often. But overall, I'll enjoy the album because it's Metallica. I was ready for that, and so, but that will lead us into our discussion about the whole thing. How do you want to
Cool.
do this? You want to just start going song by song, or do you want to
Yeah, that's how I've got it laid out, and you haven't got any notes, so I'm happy to kind of
winging it
lead this. Cool.
like Kip Winger? All right.
Which James has recently apologized to.
Oh, did he apologize?
Yeah, I heard. Well, I heard something that they're like stabbing him with darts on that.
Well,
poster.
it's from the year and a half in the life of Metallica where Lars is throwing darts at a Kip
Yeah.
Winger picture. James didn't. Why does James got to apologize for Lars? Come on, Lars, step up.
I think James is just on a bit of a journey now. He's kind of like, that was silly of us.
You can
He's
you
like
can tell by the lyrics on the album he's on quite a journey, and
Yeah,
yeah,
totally.
that was a segue into the tracks.
Track one
Track one on 72 seasons.
with 72 seasons.
Yes,
Title track. Start off with the title track. And speaking of journeys, this is a fucking journey of a song, dude. Like, excellent choice for an opener too.
yeah,
It's got a lot of different parts in it. Love those halftime pre-choruses, like the part where it really like slows down, da-na-na, da-na-na, staring into black light. Like, I
Yeah.
love that bit.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then to follow that up with a chorus that like majestically awesome, like
yeah.
yeah.
So
I'm
so
gonna
that
let you
there-
take this part.
Well, I was going to say I love the chorus, but I'll just go ahead and throw this out here right now. The star of the show on this album is James Hetfield as a vocalist. Like this might be the best vocals he's ever done on any Metallica album. Like not all of the actual vocal melodies are amazing. Some of them are, but his performance overall, I get goosebumps in some of the parts how good it sounds. And the 72 seasons chorus is one of those things. And not only that, choruses like that and like Lux Eterna, like that's not something that he does all the time. And so that's the one thing that is probably the biggest standout for me in the album is vocally speaking. 40 plus years or whatever down the line, he's still trying new things
Yeah,
and nailing it.
Yeah, something I really latched onto is he's really like in the last, there were signs of it in live shows leading up to, between Hardwired and now, of him really getting up there in his higher register on occasion. And you know what? There's moments on this album, the chorus on Lux Eterna, or the little pre-chorus bit on Shadows Follow, which we'll get to in a moment, where he's doing high stuff, but also like there's real control and vibrato, which largely in the back catalog is unheard of. He's just barking and yeah.
But not only that, he's a 60-year-old man.
Which is crazy that he's advanced so much as a vocalist.
Yeah,
I'm
people could point out, like Bruce Dickinson and people like that still sound great as older men. That's true. But if you think about vocally where James started, like Bruce Dickinson sounded good from album 1.
yeah.
And so just the journey of his voice, I feel so proud of him. I don't even know him, and I'm just like, I'm so proud of him. But yeah, 72 seasons is like also, I think the first time they've ever opened an album with the title track. I think that is it. I think that's the only time that it's happened.
Well, there was that one where they started with Garage Inc.
That classic Garage Inc. But yeah, that's I love it as the what do you call it? The track order of this album, I think, is pretty perfect, and the way that it begins with this big epic track, which also has a lot of fast riffing and other stuff in it. I just think that that's a great way to start this album because the different camps of people who call themselves Metallica fans. I would say some of them are not actually fans. They just really like the early stuff. And then there's
Yeah.
those of us that just love everything. A song like 72 Seasons, I think, is perfect to be like, all right, here's one for all of you. And I just, yeah, it's a killer opening track.
Well, you can trace the lineage of Metallica gatekeepers back to Ride the Lightning when they did Fade to Black. I mean, there's
Yep.
people that jumped off after that, having heard stuff like Fight Fire with Fire. It's like, okay, they did a ballad, but Fight Fire with Fire is harder and faster than anything on
Kill them
Kill 'Em
all.
All. Yeah, but like, is I jumped ship after Cliff died. I jumped ship when they sold out with the Black Album. I jumped
Yeah.
ship after Load. But like, you've got people who are fans of a band are there through thick and thin.
Well,
Whereas,
I'm not faulting anybody if if the last album that they did that you enjoyed was Master of Puppets, that's not wrong. That's
no,
perfect.
no,
It's how you conduct yourself as a human being after the fact
exactly,
that
yeah,
that determines whether or not you're a douchebag or not. Because like I would fault nobody for not liking this album or
yeah,
whatever. But it's at that point it's one of those things where when I don't like things, I'm not gonna post a video about how it sucks.
yeah,
I just go, all right, well, I don't like this. I'm not gonna listen to it. I'm gonna move on with my life. But I guess because this is one of the biggest bands in the world, you hear from all of those people, and a lot of them, like you said, even back in the day, even back in Ride the Lightning, metal fans just have always had so many fucking rules. And I didn't get
yeah.
into music for
Music for
fucking
fucking
rules.
rules.
And so it gets kind of annoying because I'm just like, because they'll set these rules and they'll break them unknowingly for other artists, but then all of a
hmm
sudden very strict with these rules for these particular artists, and I'm like, how about just throw them all out the fucking window and either like it or don't? It's but anyway. But I feel like 72 Seasons, if there is going to be a song that kind of wins a large amount of everybody over, I feel like that's probably the best one on here for that, to me
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah.
So
I definitely think they made the right choice, saving this to be the last single, but then opening the album with it.
yeah.
I think that was a genius move on their part. They knew what they had. It's one of those, yeah, this fucking rips.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they are really good. And, them, their management, people that work for them, whoever comes up with the ideas, they have never put something out where I didn't feel like it was an event and I had a really good time. Like
Yeah.
ever since I became a big fan. Like I guess when Load and Reload came out, there wasn't like a huge. It wasn't like I don't remember anything super special about that. But it seems like once the 2000s kind of rolled around, when they started doing movies and festivals and all these other things, like they just became a band that started doing these different things that just made it so much fun to be a fan, because you're just like, oh shit, there's now they're doing this is awesome. And I appreciate whoever makes those decisions, Lars and whoever else. I'm just like, I love it. I love those kind of things. Do you want to move on to track two?
Yeah, let's jump on over to track 2, Shadows Follow.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, 72 Seasons, the opener is like balls to the wall, no bullshit. I'm gonna rip your fucking head off. And then, some halftime parts in there show off like two whole dimensions to that sound. And
Yeah.
then Shadows Follow is like your first taste of the kind of sassy Sabbathy riffing that you'll get a lot on this album too. I heard a lot of Sabbath in
Oh
a
yeah.
lot of moments across this album where it's like, Metallica, they had the big thrash comeback with Death Magnetic, but Hardwired was like an across the board kind of metal album.
Yeah.
Had your slow chuggers, had your mid pace groovers, and it had your thrashers. So this pretty much doubles down. Hey, look, we're gonna hit you with this mid tempo one, and like it's got one of those riffs that makes you smirk. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's tasty. Um, and that Sabbathy turnaround into the pre-chorus, the breakdown section reminds me of something that would happen on the Black album. There's
There,
echoes of all their albums on this album.
That's a good way to put it. I do hear things that sound, we'll get to a couple that I'm like, they would be right at home on load. And then like this
Yep.
one, yeah, I think, Shadows Follow, if, it sounds slightly different, but I could have been on the Black album. The thing that Shadows Follow brings to the table at this point in the album for me that I don't think I've heard done this way in a long time is harmony vocals.
Mm-hmm.
There's sections of the songs, and in Shadows Follow, there's a harmony vocal with James, and it sounds so fucking tasty and perfect.
Yeah,
All of the little touches that happens in this album with harmony vocals, I'm like, it's absolutely perfect, and it's not overdone because like it just seems like there's a section that they felt needed that, and it's so fucking perfect. And
You know what I think as well? Sorry, I kind of cut
no,
you
go
off
ahead.
there. I was just going to say, you know what I think is really cool as well, and you can tell it's an age thing, but with James, aging a little bit, but keeping up his vocal chops, is that now he has like the talent and control to do these cool vocal things, but he's also got a little bit of that scratchiness back that
love
he had
that.
back in the day.
Yeah.
And it's like he's somehow managed to straddle that line of clean and really well performed with the grit that I feel has been missing from some vocal performances on the last couple albums.
Yeah.
Because he sounds great. He sounded great right the way through, but like he's been doing a very clean thing up until now. But there's so many moments on this where I think, oh, his vocals sound really, really raspy and cool here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, every single song. The Shadows Follow is probably one of my favorites. There's 3 or 4 on here that are kind of fighting with each other for which one is my favorite. But I really like, because when it comes to me as a fan, not just of Metallica, but as of music, metal, whatever you want to say, I don't care about fast or slow, or necessarily anything groundbreaking. Like I love hearing bands try new things and be adventurous. But if you don't do that, come at me with a good song. And I
Exactly.
feel like that's what they nailed with a song like Shadows Follow. Is I think that overall it's just a good song. And this album so far has been one of those that a lot of these songs get better the more that I listen to them, including the ones that were the singles. In the context of the album, I enjoy a couple of the songs that I didn't like as much a lot more. But yeah, Shadows Follow is great, and I also gotta give props, obviously, because a lot of people won't, to Lars, because his drumming. We could have talked about it on 72 Seasons, but he's Mr. in the pocket, and
Yeah.
and I like that. But also, I like the fact that there's a lot of little things here and there where he does some kind of busy stuff for Lars. Like he's not fucking Neil Peart, we know that, but
He doesn't
but-
need to be.
it doesn't need to be. But also, some of the stuff that he does in the album, I know there are people out there that aren't really big Metallica fans and haven't really, they don't watch every fucking thing ever put out like me. And so people hear some of this drumming and they go, well, Lars can't fucking do that. I'm like, well, if you look at the studio footage, he does it. And then people say, well, they edit the drums together. I'm like, well, no, I mean, he plays a song all the way through, and then he wants the most perfect take he can possibly get.
Gonna let you in on a little secret, pal. Almost every album ever has at least a little bit of editing on it. There is sample replacement dating back as early as the 80s, dude.
What are you ruining it for everybody? but you see him playing these songs,
Everything's a lie.
and whether or not like he can nail all of this stuff live, like he has his limitations as a live drummer. So I know that some of the double kicking will be kind of edited out for live performances, just because also he's also a 60-year-old dude and plays really fast shit for 2.5 hours that most people wouldn't be able to do. Just not the technicality of it, just the length of time and the energy that it takes. But he does do these things. Like he goes to the studio and he wants to do his absolute best, and he plays these songs through, and he does all of the drums that you're hearing. But I do know that they go afterwards, and if there's like 5 takes and he likes one part from this one, they do edit it in. And because it's, I mean, why would you not want the best possible performance that you could possibly get?
Exactly.
Just because it wasn't done in one take doesn't mean it's not good, because then you should, like Eddie said, you throw away probably most of your albums then if you're wanting them to be done in one take. But yeah, I just wanted to give him a little bit of props, because even with an album like this where the drums sound really great, people are still talking shit, because that's one of the rules that's been made up, is that you don't like Lars. Lars is an asshole for reasons that nobody can quite explain, and they're really not versed on what the Napster thing was actually all about.
I was about to say, newsflash, he was right.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, but really, at the end of the day, all that Lars has done is he's been I don't know, excited about things. I mean, because it seems like that's the big thing, is he's always a guy that seems like he's really pumped for what's going on, and I would be too if I were in Metallica. And so, but yeah, all the way through, I think he sounds great. To be fair, since we're on this subject, this also might be, there's a particular song we'll get to. I'll wait till we get to the song to get to that. But hi, Lars. And so, but Shadows Follow. Anything to add for that one?
I was just gonna say as well, because we haven't really brought Kirk up yet.
Yep.
Kirk in this song, doing his Kirk thing in the solo. But I will say, like, of the solos so far, his style really fits this type of song particularly well. That kind of bluesy, Sabbathy thing. Yeah. Like, his sort of stuff fits right in with that,
Yeah.
He's not Vi, he's not Satriani. Again, he doesn't need to be, because the sound of Metallica was never about... Metallica was above all else songwriting.
Yeah.
There needs to be a song there. You can wank blissful arpeggios all day long, but if there's no chorus or catchy parts, it's hard to be interested in. But if you have, Kirk, you can tell it's Kirk.
Yeah.
That's what makes him a personality.
Yeah, I would have to say, just for the sake of the people that are like, oh, this is just a fucking love fest. If there was a weak thing on the album, it's some of the Kirk leads and solos. There's a few that not necessarily badly played, because he's a good guitar player, but they're not exciting or interesting. There are some that are. There are a few that pop up here and there, and I go, all right, I'm down with that. But then a lot of them are, I think I've heard something similar to this before. We'll talk about one in particular where I just feel like I could have done a little bit more with that. It seems like kind of dull. But yeah, so that's a criticism for this album for me, is that I think that, especially because the solos that he did throughout Death Magnetic are fucking insane, and I love them. So I know he can do more. And maybe you're right. Maybe a lot of it is he gets into this mode where he hears the song and he go, well, appropriate for this song will be something a little more bluesy. I gotta fit in my wah-wah somewhere. Yeah. Which at this point, it's become a thing now. Like, when the first time the wah kicks in, I'm always like, oh yeah, there it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
anyway,
again, like I say, people, dog on Lars, and in recent times, Kirk also. But you know what? They're part of the sonic personality that Metallica is.
Yeah.
And without them,
agreed.
it wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't be the same.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I had one more thing to mention about Shadows Follow.
Okay.
That riff that goes I can't help but think of Batman.
I know, me too.
Yeah, the moment I heard it, I just thought of Adam West running around in his 60s costume.
Well, I'm curious if that was intentional, because Shadows Follow, The Dark Knight. I don't know if that was intentional, and if it was, it's pretty clever. If not, it's still a very cool part. So
I liked it.
Yeah, me too.
I like little nuggets like that, like how Lady Evil by Black Sabbath has like a Cliff Richards reference in it.
Yeah.
Just a devil woman. Anyway, we've managed to mention Cliff Richard on a Metallica podcast. So, that might be the cue to move on to track 3, which has gone on to be one of my favorites off the album, Screaming Suicide.
So Screaming Suicide, I think, probably is my least favorite song on the album.
Wow.
And but I do like it, but it was my least favorite single that they released, and now it's my least favorite on the album overall. Yeah, it's still good, but this is the one where Kirk soloing is just it could have been better, because you literally get to a part in the solo where he ends a part with a and I'm like, okay, cool, but then he does it like 2 more times, and I'm like, okay, you already did the and I'm just like, I mean, I don't know. I just, sometimes when it's something like that and you just repeat it and it's already not very interesting and it goes longer, I go, all right, fine.
Yeah, for me, I love this song. I love its attitude. It's the same reason I love Attitude off Reload. Yeah, it's kind of in that vein of badass speed limit breaking riff rock.
Sure, yeah.
I cannot express enough how dangerous I am behind the wheel when that song comes on. James's vocals on it are great.
Yeah.
Particularly on this one, he's got that real grit to him now, and I love the "keep me inside" thing.
Yeah.
Love the variation on the riff in the middle of the song. Rob absolutely holding it down. See, that's the thing. The bass is prominent on this album. You can hear it.
Since you brought it up, I think this is the best that a bass guitar has ever sounded on a Metallica album. Like, even including the early stuff with Cliff. Like, there's a couple parts where the bass is very audible, and when you hear it, I go, sounds good. Like, it sounds good, and if you're really listening for it, you hear it all the way through. But just the fact that there's so many little parts where the bass really gets to shine through, even back in the Cliff days, those moments are few and far between. But I feel like that's why I'm saying, like, I think overall, like, this might be the best sounding Metallica album, just for the fact that, I mean, you could make an argument maybe for the Black Album, but this one, when it comes to modern stuff, I just feel it has a weight to it, but at the same time,
there's space.
Every instrument seems to be given a pedestal that it's put on. Like it, like everything just sounds great. So but the bass is great.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, because I genuinely think this is the best sounding Metallica album since the 90s, at least.
Yeah.
If not Black Album, at least Load, Garage Inc., that kind of era, because those are really sonically well produced albums.
Agreed.
Even if Black Album is my favorite sounding Metallica album, but this one's right up there. This is one of their best.
Yeah.
But I mean, Kirk's solo actually gave me a little bit of an Ace Frehley vibe on this one for some reason. That may be because I've just been listening to a metric fuck ton of Kiss lately. Yeah. I've just like picked up on, Ace would have probably put that there. But that.
Well, they're very similar guitar players in the respect that they're neither one of them are very flashy and technical. They're more they more almost like play by feel, like the way that they play. It's not necessarily precise all the time. It's a little loose. A little loosey goosey, and I like that. But I also love Ace Frehley, so there you go.
Absolutely. Yeah. Screaming Suicide. I love I'm a riff man above all else, and this one just has it in spades. So yeah, that's track three. Jump on over to number four with another deeper cut. We have Sleepwalk My Life Away. Now,
Yep.
before you say anything,
Okay.
I was made for loving you, baby. You were made for loving me.
Let's see. Once again, that's just because you're listening to a lot of Kiss, but yeah.
But the intro, just drums and bass, like I couldn't not hear it, and I was immediately like, I wonder if they took a cue from that song because it was just so perfect.
Now that you're mentioning it, if they had included like a disco beat in this song, I'd like it so much more. Like let's do that. That sounds great. Yeah. Yeah.
Chunky riff. I think at the time I was thinking to myself, I think I was still like acclimating to the world because I was still kind of waking up.
Yeah.
Like the only gripe with the production so far is that the drums are very loud, but eventually I did get to a point where I was like, I just had the volume too loud.
Well, I think the only time that the drums seem too loud is whenever it's just Lars on the hi-hat with something else. Because then all of a sudden I'm like, whoa, that's a loud ass hi-hat right there. But everything else, like loud drums don't ever really bother me. I don't know if that's because I'm a hip hop fan or not, but I just I hear albums where the drums are very loud, and I'm always like, that's pretty cool. I don't know.
To harken it back to Kiss once again, there's for me, like there's a select handful of albums where like I can't necessarily turn around and say old production is better all of the time, because you get like Hotter Than Hell. That whole mix is ever so slightly ruined by that snare drum. Like you want to crank it, but like every time it hits, it kind of physically hurts just from the frequency range it occupies.
Yeah.
But another one for me is the End Complete by Obituary. Like that, the snare on that is just like, come on, man. I want the guitars loud, but every time you hit that fucking thing, it just feels like a dagger in my ear. Which is funny because it's not like that through the whole album. There's parts where I hit, and I think the problem is he's hitting like rim shots when that happens, and it's like, ow, But this album sounds fucking great. I love the fact that they've managed to figure out how to, compress things so that they're loud, without overpowering the overall room and vibe of the song, Yep. But yeah, still the best sounding in a long time. And I love that little like quote from Lars at the end, like, did we get it? You did it, mate. I liked it, but over to you.
Yeah, Sleepwalk My Life Away is it's another one that like I don't love it, but I do love things about it. I love the because a lot of times there are riffs here and there on this album that are a little bit underwhelming, but James will do a vocal line over it that I just think is so good. And the chorus of this one, I like vocal lines that go a lot of different places. And because so many metal singers they're either yelling, or if they are singing, it's like in one note here and then it goes to another note. There's no like I love, as a songwriter, it just makes me happy hearing these. That's why I like, like stuff that you listen to old stuff by like the Police and like, Sting's vocal melodies on top of the songs. You're just like, how did he come up with that? It goes all over the fucking place. And it's just, and another thing that makes me love the songs. But yeah, Sleepwalk My Life Away is like, it's a good one. That's probably one that's going to have to grow on me more, but I do like the chorus, and each one of these songs does have that little, the thing that I've noticed is that they insert little things like It's like at the end of 72 seasons, there's those two false starts at the end of the song where it's like like, they do little things like that. And in every song, there's some thing where I go, they didn't need to do that, but it's kind of cool that they did this little quick turn, or this played this particular riff this way. And that even the songs that even the songs like Sleepwalk My Life Away that I'm like, yeah, it's good. It's not one of my favorites on the album, but there's enough in it that keeps me interested. And I think that one will be a grower for me.
For sure.
Which brings us
to 5 with "You Must Burn."
yeah.
Because it's got an exclamation point.
Is this the first album that has tracks with punctuation on them? Because there's two songs with punctuation, and I can't think of a Metallica song that has punctuation.
Only other one I can think of is Sanitarium, with the brackets.
Oh yeah,
Welcome Home, Sanitarium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is weird because everyone calls it Sanitarium now, but the real title is Welcome Home.
I mean, the rule is flexible.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
But
You Must Burn.
Yeah, so this one's kind of like sad but true kind of tempo in that kind of groove wheelhouse. A lot of chunky chunkage going on. And I detect a strong Alice in Chains influence on this one. There are moments where I genuinely thought this would be right at home on an Alice in Chains song, reinforced mainly by that midsection, which totally sells me on that detection.
Yeah.
You've got James, and is it Rob or is it just James and James? Because I heard stuff about Rob doing harmonies.
I think the middle part is Rob does the harmony.
Yeah, because James and Rob are doing an undeniably Lane and Jerry style.
Well, it also sounds like something that would have been on Load as well, because they did some vocal stuff like that on Load,
which was heavily influenced by Alice in Chains.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I mean, "You Must Burn" is a pretty cool song. I like the vibe of it is really good. Yeah. It's so funny that I have to admit that 5 times through this album and listening to all these songs, like there are bits I'm like, I feel like I'm forgetting parts of the songs, and that's a good thing for me, because I'm just like, oh shit, I get to go listen to them more and learn them more. But the ones that are a little more the slower tempo ones on here, they have more things in them that I latch onto a part, and then the other parts kind of take their time for me to really recognize how cool they are. But yeah, "You Must Burn" is a nice little tune.
Nice pleasant listen. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So that brings us to track 6, Lux Aeterna.
Yeah,
which is single from the album.
Which is actually really cool placement after a couple mid tempos, a little slower tempo one. No ballad really. I mean, would you consider? Well, we'll get to that one, but I wouldn't. There's nothing on here that I would necessarily call a ballad.
Closest thing to it is in Amorata, but it's that's more in the vein of just a really doomy, Sabbathy groover.
Yeah. So I like the fact that especially on the vinyl, like Lux Aeterna ends record number 1, and it's kind of a nice ending. It's almost like you get a mini album ended with like a Battery or Dyer's Eve. Not as fast as either one of those, but you know what I mean. A more up tempo song finishing off the first half of the album.
Absolutely, yeah. It's the album's shortest track. I think it was a good move making this the first single, because it's like a bit of a mission statement, like a "we're back, fucker." And
it was a total surprise, which was also fun.
Yeah. Well, actually, it's funny. I was the one that told you that Metallica had a new song out, and that was when I looked down at my phone and saw, 30 seconds ago, I looked at my phone and it said Metallica Lux Aeterna. I was like, what the fuck is this? And then it New song, new song. I need to tell old head right away. New song, and you went, what? New Metallica song.
I'm still
Yeah.
like wiping the sleep out of my eye and pouring
Yeah.
my coffee. I'm like, it's too early for this shit. Metallica.
Yeah, I think the funniest part was it was like the initial what I was like, new Metallica song, and then yeah, you were like, I can't find it on streaming. I was like, go to YouTube right now. But yeah, I think I was one of the first 100 people to like it.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
which is,
I'm
you know.
I'm never that quick with things like that, but you know,
That
I
was
try.
pure luck, to be fair.
Yeah.
I had a day off, so I was just at home fucking around. But yeah,
But yeah, Lux Eterna is a great song. I've tried to rest it because I heard it a lot when it first came out. But once again, in the context of the album, like these singles, I'm like, yeah, I like them in the way that they're spaced in with the other tracks, and it's a nice little mid-album, little bit of a in the premiere thing in the theater, Rob referred to it as an arm burner because his arm gets really tired playing with his fingers.
Jesus Christ, yeah, I tend to forget that he does that. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I most of the live footage I end up watching of Metallica is usually Jason era. But you know what? Rob is a fucking beast.
Oh,
You know,
fuck
with his
yeah, dude.
Like, how'd you do this shit?
He's arguably the best bass player they've ever had. I'm sorry if that sounds like blasphemy, but I really do think that, you know,
Yeah.
Cliff was amazing, but I think, you know, he probably would even say that Rob was the best one that they had.
I think if you're talking sheer technicality, I think Rob is the shoe in. But I definitely also, you know, I think the most innovative was Cliff. But I think
Sure.
for some reason I'm just drawn to Jason's live energy. You know, that
All three of them have brought something unique and cool to the band. So it's like
Yeah.
it's hard to pick a favorite, but I think, you know, I picked Jason because that's the era that I really got into the band, so it's kind of a nostalgia thing. But it's kind of the point now. Rob's been in the band 20 years, and
he's the longest standing bass player. So
I think that if for some reason, you know, they decided to bring Jason back, I would really miss Rob. So
yeah.
I'm happy with how the band is right now.
Yeah, oh, totally. You know, it's just it's a chapter that I'm thankful for, but you know, Metallica is how they need to be now. And
Yep.
you know, Rob's great. Awesome. Yeah.
Moving on.
Moving on to Crown of Barbed Wire.
So to me, for an early, you know, it's early-ish review, the second half of this album to me is way stronger than the first overall.
Okay.
So, and because we're getting into Crown of Barbed Wire, which is in the running for my favorite song on the album. It is fan-fucking-tastic. So,
So, I mean, I don't actually have much notes on this. I think 'cause I just forgot while I was listening to it. I kind of like reached the halfway point, and then I was just like really appreciating and vibing with it. But it's got a cool vibey feel to this one. It's like it's not like something I've heard from them really much before. So I'm gonna let you lead this one.
and so once again, it's fucking James. The chorus, the pre-chorus and chorus, like the harmony vocals and the melodies, and even the way that, you know, the slinky vocal line, you know, this crown of barbed wire, like that. I love it when he does shit like that because in so many ways he's going against what I think a lot of people would be like, oh, if you're metal, you don't sing, you don't do things this way, and that's the one thing that I absolutely love about how this album turned out. It's not the one thing, just many things, but they're still not just catering to haters or people that want a particular thing out of them. They still just make the music that they make. And sure, they've started incorporating faster stuff more again, but the majority of this album is not fast. And that's one of those things where some people, like, I've seen some people do posts and go, you know, it's the best album they've done because they've returned to their old school roots. I'm like, have they? Did you listen to like 2 songs? Because Most of it is not. Most of it sounds like Black Album load. And then there's a few songs that you could, harken back to Death Magnetic maybe, or, but nothing to me sounds old school on this album, which is great because because I want to hear a band that grew from that and learned from that, but is offering up what they're doing now, honestly. And Metallica have been a band that, if nothing else, have been very honest with their music. I feel I don't think there's ever
Absolutely.
I don't think there's ever been anybody that suggested they do something that they did. I think they just went along with whatever. But yeah, Crown of Barbed Wire as a fucking song, just as a song, is just so well written, and everyone sounds great on that album. And I love a song with a good chorus that just makes me want to sing along, and and there's a lot of those on this album. But yeah, there's one other song that's in the running for my favorite on the album, but it's neck and neck with Crown of Barbed Wire because I just think I just love it. It's just it's so good. So we can move on to the next track.
Nice. So number 8, this one here, Chasing Light, by the way, could be a top 3 song from this album for me.
It's great. It's a great song.
I fucking love Chasing Light so much. They catch you with a fake out at the beginning. I thought it was going to be a slow groover, and then it hit me with the up tempo thing. See, that's the beauty of hearing an album like this for the first time. You genuinely do not know what you're in for.
And you know what? Maybe that's the problem with some people, is that everyone gets very excited when like the last Slayer album came out and everyone's like, yeah, and I was the one going, if I kind of know what I'm getting for every track, how is this any fun at all? It's like, and so, and not to diss Slayer, because I love Slayer, and they do they did what they did, and it's great, but I much prefer an album like this where I'm not quite sure what's going to happen. Not that they're fucking Mr. Bungle or anything, but you know what I'm saying? Like it's just, you're not 100% sure what you're going to get. And to me, that's what fucking new music should be all about. Don't give me the same shit. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And Metallica has a core sound that they have, happened upon in the last, what is it now, 15 years?
Yeah.
And there's a sonic quality that Death Magnetic, Hardwired, and this one share. It's like post Saint Anger Metallica has an identifiable core sound. However, Death Magnetic, Hardwired, and this one are very different albums.
Yeah, and I would agree.
I would even go as far as to say that this album is my favorite of the 3.
It's really hard to compete with Death Magnetic for me, but
yeah. I mean, especially for you coming back the way they did with that album. Death Magnetic had already been out for 2 years when I got into them.
Oh, okay. That album made me feel like a fucking kid again. I was just I was so into it.
I mean, it's almost like that album is to me, it's always struck me as like a spiritual successor to And Justice for All, where it's like, even down to the fact that both had glaring production issues, but the song was so fucking great that you don't give a shit.
And they're both production issues that I have absolutely no problem with whatsoever. So, well, that's just me. Apparently, I'm weird.
To be fair, when I first heard Death Magnetic, I didn't notice the clipping, but I was a kid. I hadn't learned all this stuff about music production that I do now.
Yeah.
Nowadays, when I listen to it, I do need the better sounding version of Death Magnetic. But God, that album's fucking good.
Agree.
But for sure, this one's great. And Chasing Light, pre-chorus is cool, but that chorus is fucking great. He's vocally really getting up there with his highs.
Yeah.
Again, there's more Alice in Chains influence in the middle of this song. I definitely got the Chainsy vibe. Even the solo was fantastic, and the riff immediately following it was killer.
Yeah, and I like I like the sort of halftime it goes into right at the end of the chorus. You know, the "Without Darkness," that little bit, and it doesn't do it for very long. But once again, those little things that they throw into songs, where I'm just like, the chorus was cool, but that ending of the chorus is what makes me go, I like that. I like that part. But yeah, Chasing Light is it's a real energetic, fun, driving. I mean that one to me is one of the two on here that, you know, if I'm driving, I'm gonna be driving probably too fast.
Yeah.
Which is funny because you would think it would be one of the ones with the more like the double time beats.
Yeah.
But no, the double time beats don't really do much for me. Like we'll get to later on. We'll talk about that. But yeah, Chasing Light, fucking great song. We can move on.
Cool. Something as well I've noticed with this album, not only in its music, but its themes and even in the artwork, there's a very clear theme of light and dark, you know, light and darkness, you know, a very bright yellow with black things on it, you know.
While we're on the subject, I love this album cover. I think
it's really grown on me as well.
It's fucking fantastic because it's not what I expected, but at the same time, there's something about it that's so pleasing to my eyes that I'm just like, I love when an album looks like no other album. That is number one. And so while I will admit I am one of those people that's like, oh man, I love the painted, you know, big artwork, metal artwork, you know, with the, you know, Ed Repka or whoever. There's something to be said for just something that looks so unique and so interesting. And like you said, it really fits the album because the whole album is literally just seems to be all songs about James' inner struggle with, you know, his inner demons and self-doubt and aging and all of these different things. And that's another thing is that, like, you know, getting metal from older men who've been doing it for this long and getting this kind of honest, kind of thoughtful lyrics. Like, not all the lyrics are like amazing, but I think I like a lot of these lyrics more than Hardwired. But I just like the subject matter, and I like the fact that that's the kind of writer he is, because I don't want to hear another song about how the internet is bad, or about
phone bad.
Or
miserable.
Or these songs that a lot of bands are doing these days where they're trying to do this middle of the road sort of political thing where it's ambiguous. Which side are we on? They're all lying. And I'm like, okay, we're done. I'm done with that too, because at this point, you got to pick a fucking side if you're going to be a fucking band I listen to, because you're fucking metal. You're a metal band, and these metal bands are all just like, I don't know. And I'm just like, God, that's bullshit to me. But in this particular case, it's just personal, but also very relatable to someone like me, and I'm assuming yourself as well. And so I love that. I love getting music that's got depth to it lyrically, and when the whole package, including the artwork and the fucking pictures, if you see behind me in the video, of how they all look like old men. They took the photos with an exposure and a light to like accentuate their wrinkles and other things. Everything about it, it just makes it such a meaningful album for me. Whereas like Hardwired, it was fun, but it doesn't have that kind of weight to me. And so anyway, I just love all of those things about this album.
You want to know something totally superficial that I am completely fucking hyped about?
What?
I mean, I know he's had it back for a while. I mean, he had it back when I saw them live ages ago in 2019. Feels weird to say ages ago, but that is 4 years.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just
a pandemic ago.
a pandemic ago. Yeah. I'm just glad James has his mustache back. He rocks the mustache, dude. Motherfucker looks cool as hell.
I want him to bring back the late '90s mullet, honestly, but
Yeah,
that's just me.
we got
I guess
close to it.
I guess that's mid '90s. It was around the time I saw them in concert the first time, which was 1994. He had the mullet thing going on.
You know what? I only just realized the other day that like when they hired Jason Newsted, they pretty much all had the shaved sides. I never noticed that before. Like in the Justice era, James had shaved side. Kirk, to some extent, had shaved a little bit down.
Yeah.
I think Lars was the only one I couldn't really tell, but he had his own thing going on, that like feathered mullet with the tennis band around his head.
Funny enough, around that time, especially early '90s, I had shaved underside of my hair. I was growing out as well. I don't know what it, but mine was inspired by Phil Anselmo, because I saw footage of him during Cowboys from Hell, and he had like, it's almost like he had a mohawk, but then it just like was like slinging down, and the shaved head on this side, and I was always like, "Ooh, that looks cool." But then my version of it was, as a little kid, was like, "All right, can you shave the sides of my head?" And then my hair, my hair still just went foomp, and I went, "Okay."
Oh, that's great.
It doesn't matter. More visuals for the podcast listeners. I apologize for that, but you've all seen my hair. It doesn't do much. So it's always been that way, and it fucking parts in the middle no matter what I do. Like when I was younger, I would try to like do different things, and at the end of the day, it would just go poop. So I just ran with it. Said, all right, I'm gonna part it in the fucking middle.
You have no idea how many times I've thought about getting a perm.
Oh, you should totally do that.
Yeah, but like I've heard horror stories of it going totally wrong, and I'd look fucking stupid if it went wrong enough for me to have short hair. I ain't going back there. I have my whole life to have short hair.
Oh fuck! I'm never going back. We've talked about this before. If my hair starts falling out, I'm gonna have a skullet. I'm not. I don't think I'm going to, but like I settled on this look many years ago, and it was the first time I ever looked in the mirror and went, not bad. And so I'm keeping that.
Yeah. No, I'm the same. Yeah, totally. I had short hair. I had the crew cut when I was a teenager, and
shit, in my 20s, my head was shaved and I had no beard. Like,
oh wow,
That's surreal to me. I'll find pictures to show you, but like there's pictures of me playing with my band at the time, and it's like there's no beard, and I literally just gone and I had buzzed my head because I didn't start growing my hair back until I was probably around 30. And so it's been the last like 15 years or so. But in my 20s, I hated fucking with my hair so much that I just would shave it off.
That was bald head.
That's a different channel. Bald head. Yeah. All right. Where were we? Oh, we were about to get to If Darkness Had a Son.
Yes. Yeah. So If Darkness Had a Son, the third single to be released and the last of the 4 singles to appear on this album. It's great. And my one gripe with this song is the intro is maybe a bit long, but I'm used to that at this point. I'm a Metallica fan. And I love the riffs. The variation in the outro is really cool. My favorite one's the one. I forget specifically how it goes right now because my mind is blanking. But you know, me likey.
Yeah. Eventually, we're gonna know this album inside and out. But yeah, just now it's because we're recording this and it's been out 2 days. 3 for me because I heard it Thursday, but it's I guess today is the 3rd day, so it's because it's Sunday anyway. Whatever. But that's why initially I was like, we should wait like a full week so we can really listen to the album a bunch. But I was like, I'm so excited to just talk about it. Let's just fucking do it.
Yeah.
Plus, nobody else is waiting. They're all posting their videos where they're like, look, I just listened to it all the way through, and it's not really that good. I'm like, you heard it once, and you probably didn't want to like it in the first place.
Yeah.
That's the thing that I've really noticed is that because Metallica is such a big band, people that would never talk about music anyway have decided that they need to chime in about it. And I'm like, look,
it's all for clout purposes.
Yeah, well, I'm like, there are those of us who like this is our lives and our passion, and let us talk about it, okay?
Yeah.
You know? We don't need you. Thank you.
Take you $1 and fucking beat it. Sorry, that was a. I've been listening to a lot of Pod of Thunder, and that's one of their sound bites. And yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
I'm sorry
But,
we don't have sound bites. We should, we have a very basic setup. I don't know where I would play a sound bite from during our show. I'd have to get like some sort of
basically, I just
sampler
quote shit.
and
I'm the soundboard.
I like that. I like that.
I like
all
that.
All right, yeah. If Darkness Had a Sun, I like that song a lot. It's I think probably my second favorite single after 72 Seasons that was released. I just like the vibe of it, yeah. It's just it's a dark song, and it just has a nice sort of driving groove to it, and I enjoy that.
Yeah. Yeah, it took of all the singles, it took the longest time to grow on me, but I fucking love it now.
Mhm.
You know, it's yeah. My only gripe is the intro didn't need to be that long.
do well, but they utilized it in an interesting way. Did you see how they unfolded it on TikTok?
Yeah, yeah. And now that I remember that, I'm like, you know what? There's a whole argument about the TikTokification of music and stuff, but you know what? People do that with songs that were released in the 70s. You know, people make cool things out of songs. You know, I know music nowadays. There's a big boom recently in like songs that don't exceed like the 2-minute mark, just to serve as basically a soundbite for people to do like quirky little memes to.
Yeah.
The rest of it's literally just filler. But
I liked the way that they unfolded it on TikTok. I'm not a big fan of TikTok, but I follow Metallica, and it was cool to have the first video where it's just drums, and you're like, what the fuck is this? And then later, little by little, all the members join in. It was also funny / annoying that all these people would duet Lars and just play Megadeth songs over the drums.
Okay, I mean that is kind of funny. That's the kind of shit posting I appreciate, you know.
But once like 10 people had done it, I was just like, didn't you see the other videos? This has already been done, guys.
Yeah.
But anyway, moving on to the other contender for my favorite song on the album, Too Far Gone, or Too Far Gone, because there's
Too Far Gone.
Once again, it's the vocals that really fucking sell this for me. The turn from what seems to be like a minor key to a major key in the chorus, it just makes me feel good. And I like the fact that it's a song literally about like, you know, have I fucked up so much, and have I become, you know, such a shitty version of myself, or gotten so fucked up that there's no turning back and this is just me. But it's presented in this very sort of like, you know, almost like anthemically, we're going to get fucking through this. But the chorus doesn't say we're going to get through this. The chorus is, am I too far gone to save? And I'm just like, fucking great songwriting, really cool riff, really cool harmony guitar in the middle with overall, just a fucking amazing track. And I love it so much. At this point, probably my favorite. But I do really love Crown of Barbed Wire as well. But, you know, I got a faster one and a slower one to be like my two favorites.
Yeah. I like those like, parts in there as well.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Those are all little touches that I just love.
Yeah. Like there's even a little bit of like tight, fast playing in this one. You know, it's got a little bit of a Death Magnetic edge to it. Like kind of rhythms.
Yeah. Yeah,
I liked the Maiden-esque guitar harmonies in this. I know you like that term.
Yep, guitar harmonies.
And that choky riff at the end is short but sweet. I could listen to a loop of that, like dun 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 dun. But
Yeah.
oh, love it. Yeah, Too Far Gone. Badass.
Yeah. We're getting there, folks. So thank you for being patient. This is the longest album review ever, right? I don't know. I'll search the internet. Maybe there'll be people that did a longer one, but we're on to Room of Mirrors.
Yeah. This is like Sabbath on speed. Double kick and guitar harmonies. Yes.
It's a little bit of a fake out because when it begins, you don't expect it to have the double time drums. They kind of come out of nowhere. But this song is not one of my favorites, but and it's also one of those. To me, it's a very good example about faster is not always better. Like just because this song has that double time drum, like that doesn't do it any favors for me. But it goes well with the vocals and I don't necessarily dig the chorus that much. It's good. The verses, once again, with the, because he does the, he does a lot of like, the notes go all over the place. And it just makes me think that James has gotten so good at writing vocal melodies I'm assuming he probably, because you watch like footage like when they recorded like Death Magnetic and you hear him singing completely different lyrics to what ends up on the album. So I feel like he really like labors over not only the lyrics but the melodies and finds every possible way to make something the best that it can be. And I like the fact that there are those times where he just sings something just straightforward, no frills, and it works. Other times he adds these melodies that go a lot of different places, and it just makes the songs like this a lot more enjoyable. I think without that, it's just like a double time song that's good. It doesn't blow me away though.
Yeah, I like it. I'm just glad that Metallica has put out such a high quality album this late in the game,
Yeah, I agree.
Which, brings us to the closer, and as it stands, the longest song in the Metallica catalog, longest original song.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know what it is. This song even has like a slightly different sonic vibe, like they're all jamming it together.
Yeah, Inamorata is the name of the song.
Yeah, sorry, Inamorata. It's got a nice booming, big, roomy sound on that snare. More of that sound in modern metal, please. Vibey.
It's very Fixer at times.
Yeah,
for me.
See, this is where I'm heading with it. It's kind of like they took the stuff that was good about My Friend in Misery, because there are references I noticed in the guitar solo-y bit.
Yeah,
that has the same kind of feel as that thing going on, and I was like, that's total fan service. This song is about the idea of misery, and it kind of goes back to that kind of theme, and they snuck that little motif in there, and that made me grin from ear to ear. I was like,
yeah,
that was you did that for us. You did that for yeah. It's a vibey, long, doomy, Sabbathy track that somehow flies by for me. Like, I have no idea how the fuck they did it, but there are songs like this that don't do any wild technical stuff at all. Like, Where the River Goes by Stone Temple Pilots for me is another one that I can just stick on, and I don't know where the 8 minutes just went. This one is a whole 3 minutes longer than that and still manages to fly by.
Yeah, when they in the theater, they talked about it being the longest Metallica song, and then when the song ended, I was like, that's it? Like it did not seem like an 11-minute song to me. I've seen some people say that it's too long, and I'm just like, I don't know, because I think it's perfect. To be completely honest, if they had ended the album on something like Room of Mirrors, like the last album, the way that it ended with a faster tune, I'm like,
Yeah.
that's great and all, but the book ending of beginning this album with 72 seasons and ending it with Inamorata is absolutely perfect. Like, it just really solidifies how great a constructed an album this is, because the song is a complete vibe and mood, but also
There's a
once
song
again,
there.
there's a song there, but also vocally speaking, once again, it's like this on the whole album. This is probably the most sort of like bare or something, if you will, that James sounds like, sort of I don't know, like a wounded kind of thing. He has, it's the most like sort of his emotions are laid out there of anything on the album, and
It's like he's become the world's loudest life coach, so to speak. Yeah. It's like a guru. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I love the vibe of this song so much, and I love the fact that, once again, I love the fact that they have not strayed away from the kind of things that they did on like Load and Reload. Now, to be fair, they still haven't come back with a song like Saint Anger, but that just would be out of place on this album. But honestly, there's that part of me that goes, all right, if they leave that one alone, it's an even more special album to me, because I love that album. But I do love the fact that, like, fans of the Black Album can get into this, fans of Low can get into this. It's got so much going for it, but just the fact that it wraps up with this big epic long song, and the guitar harmony parts in the midsection are just fucking beautiful. And
for me, it's like they took My Friend in Misery, Outlaw Torn, Fixer, and stuck all three of them in a blender, and they came out with this awesome smoothie. Inamorata is an awesome smoothie.
it is. It's a pretty damn good smoothie. It's got all the things you need for a good time. Yeah. But and that wraps up 72 seasons, which I really think that, I mean, I like it way more than Hardwired to Self-Destruct. I had my criticisms about Hardwired to Self-Destruct, even though I do like it. I love every Metallica album, so it's dumb to say that. But this one so far has already surpassed that for me in quality, and just the memorability of the songs, and it keeps drawing me back. Hardwired didn't really draw me back that much initially. I listened to it a bunch of times when it came out, but then it was like a good couple months before I even went back to it. Where this seems like an album that I'm probably going to be throwing on a lot, because I just look at the tracks and I go, oh, I want to hear that one again. And it has a lot of that going on.
This album's really pulling me back in. Every time I come away from it for like a short break, where I'm like, I'll listen to a podcast for a bit, or I'll listen to a different album. Like I think of one of these songs, and then it starts nagging me. It's like, come back. We have this one. You like this one?
Yeah.
It's like, God damn it! I was supposed to do something.
Yeah. So really, like, I don't know. I was trying to think of, like, in my ranking, because I don't remember what my ranking was on our episode we did, but I would. This album so far would be above Reload and Hardwired for me in my ranking, which are I think were the bottom two. It's still not above Saint Anger. Sorry, folks, but
Wow.
but I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I love this album. It's great, but it does have its flaws. I was thinking about that too, because a lot of people in their their posts about the album, I saw the phrase used a lot. Well, it's not perfect. And I started thinking to myself, what are the perfect Metallica albums? And I'm like, I can honestly say, if you're talking about laying an album before me and saying there's literally nothing you can think of that could have been done better, they only have two perfect albums in my eyes, and that is Ride the Lightning and Master of Puppets. Every other album I absolutely fucking adore, but they haven't done what I would call a perfect album since then. So once again, I can see why people are all like, I only like the early stuff. And I'm like, I kudos to you. You enjoy yourself as you will. Just shut the fuck up about the newer stuff, because it's not for you.
it's kind of like I'm like, okay, if you came here for Ride or Master and you only like those two, okay, cool, but stop being such a loud dick about it.
Yeah, that's that's the only thing. But I know a lot of it is because they're the biggest band in the world, and it seems like people get annoyed that everyone gets excited about Metallica,
Yeah.
and I'm like, you're really showing how immature you are when you can't just let us have like a week to be all like woo, and then we'll just go back to our lives, and it'll happen again in 6 years.
They'll hit us with the classic. Bear in mind, we have listened to, God, just for the show alone, I worked it out, and we're coming in at between 550 and 600 albums we have listened to for this show.
Oh my God.
Like I actually took it upon myself the other day to like work it out. I just like had a moment of autistic interest, and I was just there like, I need to work this out.
If that's the case, how many albums have I listened to in my lifetime? 1 million?
It's like, that's the thing.
A lot.
I was thinking to myself, Jesus Christ, if only, and that wasn't including the year albums.
Oh shit! Yeah, you're
that was
right.
just band discographies, and we've definitely listened to over 600 albums for this podcast. Where I was going with that, is that you can hurl a bunch of musicians at me who are more technically proficient 1 million times over than the people in Metallica. However, Metallica's got those songwriting chops that just hit it out of the fucking park.
Yeah.
You can be a fantastic guitar player and not know how to write a song.
Yeah. Well, I've found myself in recent years, or maybe actually really just in recent months, really coming to terms with, I feel like I'm a person that I know what I'm talking about because I've been in bands. I'm a songwriter. I'm a singer, a guitar player. I've done all of these things. I know what goes into making a song and making an album and being in a band. I know all of these things, and I've listened to a shitload of music. I've read about a shitload of music. So I when I present things to people, I always want to do it in a way where like I know what I'm talking about. I'm not just talking out of my ass. That being said, I've gotten to the point where in certain situations, I know I have to remove myself from Metallica discussions because aside from that, there's this nostalgia and just love and adoration, and because they've been important in my life in an emotional way alongside me just really being into the music. So there's a bit of me where I'm like, I can't really have, at a certain point, my opinion only goes so far because there is that emotional connection that I have to their music. And so take that as you will when I tell you that 72 Seasons is a fucking amazing album. And overall, I'm very impressed. Even with my criticisms, those are all things that are going to go away, and I'm going to get used to those things, and they're just going to become part of an album that I love along with all the rest of their albums. Fun post note though. At the very end of the theatrical thing the other night, they had like a special announcement, and their announcement was that they're going to be broadcasting one of their concerts live to theaters all over the world. And it just so happens that it's the concert that I'm going to. So I'm like, fuck yeah. Because it's
front row.
Well, no, fuck, I'm way up in the fucking nosebleeds. They're not gonna, but I am gonna wear my old head hat and just try to do crazy shit. Like, look at me! If there's cameras, and then maybe they'll throw me on there. But
wear your old head hat and a Borat mankini. You'll be
that's how I'll do it. But yeah, they're doing it's in Arlington, Texas, which is like right by Dallas. But they're broadcasting. I don't know if it's both the shows or just one of them, but that's going to be fun to be like, oh, I got to be at that show where they broadcast it to the world, and that's because when I went to go see them on the Load tour, the show I went to was the show right before they won the one they recorded for Cunning Stunts. I was about to say Stunning Cunts.
Hey.
Um, yeah, sorry guys. That's the one thing with your channel. You beep out bad words, and I'm like, I wonder if I would get more money if I would just stop saying fuck so much.
I mean, to be fair, it's an experiment. I'm trying. They tend to pick up on swears in the first 5 minutes. Past that point, I don't know how good they are at picking it up. But yeah, I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers this year. So if everybody out there could just
Yes,
give me a sub.
Eddie Sparxx, and his link's always in the video description. But yeah, I'm not worried about that kind of shit. So shit.
Oh, no,
fuck,
I meant
cunt, cocksucker, motherfucker, tits, turd. What is it? Shit, piss, fuck, cunt, cocksucker, motherfucker, tits, fart, turd, and twat.
Yeah, there it is. I was just saying that they should physically come to my house and offer me a sub, like the Subway sandwich.
Oh yeah.
Note to actually redacted. I'm not going to dox myself. Please don't come to my house. Maple marinara.
To be fair, yeah, that sounds good. To be fair, the first person that showed up with a sandwich would be like, "Fuck yeah!" But then if a whole bunch of people, I'd be like, "No, yeah, sorry, I don't have, just throw them over the fence for my dogs, thank you."
It's when they start showing up with rope and a sack that I'm going to start getting worried.
Yeah, or in a Borat mankini. But I guess depending on who they are.
Under that box with a precarious stick propping it up. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's. I mean, you have anything else to add on the end of our really long ass review of 72 Seasons by Metallica?
Me likey.
Yeah, I think that if you were gonna put a quote out there, if anyone wants to just let the world know what the two dudes in Cranked and Ranked think about it, you can just put "we likey," they likey,
we likey, they likey.
Yeah. So yeah, that's hopefully this is the longest album review ever, because that was what I was wanting to do, and I think we've managed to get rid of a whole lot of people, except for the peanut butter platypuses, or hardcore Metallica fans. And if that's you, then welcome, and your family here, your Metallica family. I'm so glad he doesn't do that anymore.
Yeah, I remember seeing footage of that, and it was like it entered the realm of like, oh, this is kind of cute. This is like a dad and his kids, and then like, it went. The
kids are in the back seat. He's like, everybody, Metallica family.
It went on for like 2 minutes too long, and it was like,
yeah,
rate it in, start the song.
Yeah. I love him to death, but there are some James things you can make fun of everybody except for Rob.
Yeah.
Rob fucking rules, but everybody else, there's things you can pick on them for, and we pick because we love. And,
Rob's Mr. Steal Your Girl, because he's certainly stealing mine. I'm going to download.
All right, Rob. Just so you know, if you're interested,
she's not available.
All right, fine. All right, so all right, cool. That was our review of the new Metallica album, 72 Seasons. Thank you very much for being here with us. Next week, we are still not back to our regularly scheduled program, and we have another special episode. We occasionally do these episodes that are called CNR Sidebar, and we have a special one where we talk about something that's it's music related, but it's closely related to the show, and we have a fun time, and everybody either gets really annoyed that we're not doing band discographies, or they are actually fans of, because I saw recently somebody left a comment on something saying like, you guys are getting into bands I don't care about, so I might stop listening. I'm like, well, okay. I mean, if you're just here to hear us talk about your favorite bands, then you're not really a fan of this show, because it's a whole lot of these two dudes talking no matter what.
Yeah. We've been doing this nearly 3 years now. We're technically on season 4, as we call it.
Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, next time will be another CNR Sidebar. Thank you so much for being here for this album review. It's been fun, and I'm going to listen to this album another 400 times probably this next week.
Absolutely.
But yeah, Yeah, we'll see you all again next time. And as usual, I'm going to throw it over to Mr. Eddie Sparxx to take us out.
Chase that light. Later, dude.
Oh, nice.